So you might be thinking about moving to Utah. That's a great idea. I am a lifelong resident of Utah County. I have been a real estate agent for, about 15 years now. I'm Leslie Jones. I'm part of the Casby Real Estate Group, and I want to introduce you to Utah, to the Wasatch Front and the Wasatch Back. I hope this is helpful to you. I'm going to use Google, and I think it's helpful when moving to a new place or looking at a new place to understand the geography and where things are located. So if you go to, I've just at Google, we have the state of Utah right here. Our capital city is Salt Lake City. I want you to look here at the geography. See this mountain range right here? This is called the Wasatch Range. Well, why is this important? I'm going to explain to you the difference between the Wasatch Front and the Wasatch Back. But first, here's just a little fun fact about Utah history. Back a long, long time ago when the dinosaurs roamed the earth, Utah, what is currently Utah, we were covered a huge lake, a prehistoric lake, encompassed most of the state of Utah. And the remnants of that ancient lake are what is left here in the Great Salt Lake. This is a saltwater lake. You may have heard of the salt flats. These are the salt flats out here in the West Desert. So there are, the geography has been formed by these prehistoric things, and it's kind of fun to see the remnants of that lake. You can actually see some of the remnants of Lake Bonneville on the shoreline on the mountain range too. Throughout the valley, we're seeing that converted into the Bonneville Shoreline Trail, which is planned to at some point connect the entire Wasatch Front. So little by little, we're making those pieces, putting those pieces together. So here we have the Wasatch Front. Now the Wasatch Front, this is the Wasatch Range. The Wasatch Front is between the Wasatch Range and the Great Salt Lake. So cities like Salt Lake City, Provo, Ogden's probably a touch too far to be Wasatch Front, but it's the greater metro area. Sandy, Lehigh, Orem, Provo, Spanish Fork, you may have heard of those cities. This is where the largest portion of our population lives, is along the Wasatch Front. Utah has a state population of approximately 3 million people statewide, and 1.6 million live in the Salt Lake Valley. So I'm going to show you a little more detail, the differences between the Salt Lake Valley, Utah Valley, and the Wasatch Heber Valley. But along the Wasatch Front, right here in Utah County, right along this peak here, is Mount Timpanogos. This is important because you're going to see the front and the back of it. So keep that in mind. The Mount Timpanogos, we'll come back to these pictures. Let's focus here in Salt Lake County first. So Utah County, this is Salt Lake County, and then Utah County is south of Salt Lake County. They're divided by this little, it's not a mountain range, it's actually an old sandbar from the ancient Lake Bonneville. It's called the Point of the Mountain. When I was growing up, it actually came out into a point almost to where I-15 is. A lot of that point of the mountain is being excavated for by some of the companies that make concrete, because of course we're growing and they've got to have the resources to do that. So it's not so much a point anymore, but it's still referred to as the Point of the Mountain. That is the geographic divider between Salt Lake and Utah County. So you can see the outline here of the Salt Lake Valley. There are approximately 1.6 million people in Salt Lake County. That will continue to grow, but not by much. The growth in the Salt Lake Valley is primarily here in the west. The Bingham Copper Mine is out here. You may have seen that on, I don't know if you've ever gone to space, you've seen that. You can see it from space apparently. So the growth is occurring along the Wasatch Front, Salt Lake Valley in the west. The state of Utah is projected to double in population size by 2050. So Utah is growing, and growing rapidly. Now, if you go to Utah County, let me show you Utah County here. Utah County is south of Salt Lake. You can see geographically it's larger. We have approximately 500,000 people in Utah County. Our population in Utah County is projected to double in the next, what, 20 years, 15 years, to get to 1 million people. So here's the mountain range right here. Most of our population is between Lehigh, primarily, and Spanish Fork. Of course, we have these areas here in the south end of the valley are growing, but the bulk of our population is really Spanish Fork to Lehigh right now. Utah Lake is a freshwater lake right here. It empties into the Great Salt Lake through the Jordan River. So where are we going to grow in Utah County? Out here in the west, this is the Cedar Valley. This is where Eagle Mountain is. This is on the west side of Utah Lake. The Cedar Valley is projected to build out at approximately 350,000 people. I think they're maybe not even quite a third of the way there. So that is the largest geographic city in the state, from what I understand. Now, on the east side of the lake, the growth that we are seeing, of course, we have a lot of infill growth in these cities on the main part of Utah County, but most of the large-scale growth we're seeing is south of Spanish Fork down into Santaquin. Out here to the west, you've got Eureka, Genola, Hinckley. These are small farm towns that are still producing. They feed a lot of our county with farm produce and so forth. So this is Utah County. I live in Mapleton. I live right down here in this beautiful little town of Mapleton. I'll include some of my playlist here so you can see that. And I love Mapleton. I grew up here in Provo, so I know this area. Now, these are the two main counties in the Wasatch Front. So what is the Wasatch back? Let me show you this here. Why do I bring up Mount Timpanogos? This is the Wasatch Front side of Mount Timpanogos. See how pretty it is in the winter? It doesn't look like that. By July, there's no snow on it, but the glacier snow up here at the top stays for many months in the year. Now, this is the Wasatch Front view of Mount Timpanogos. This right here is the Wasatch Back view of Mount Timpanogos. This is the view that you get of, and you can also hike up to Mount Timpanogos if you want to. I've done it I think once, but that might be enough for me. But it is a beautiful view. There's no doubt about it. This is the view from the Heber Valley. Why is it called the Heber Valley? Well, it's right back here, the Heber Valley. You can see it right back here. This is the Heber Valley. Heber is the county seat, and it's Wasatch County or the Heber Valley. So you've got the back of Mount Timpanogos right up around in here. So you've got the front and the back. So along the Wasatch back, so we've got Wasatch County here. I'm sure you're familiar with Summit County, which includes Park City, Snyderville, Camas, right up in this area. That's the Wasatch back. But for today's video, I'm focusing on just these three counties. Currently, the Wasatch County, I personally think it's one of the most beautiful valleys in the state of Utah. But I think it's just beautiful. And Wasatch County, there are 34,000 residents in Wasatch County. That is expected to more than double, to grow by more than 200% over the next couple of decades. So growing and exploding, but certainly at a different rate than what we are seeing in Utah County. So really, if you're considering a move to Utah, you may or may not have ties to Utah, but I hope this is helpful to give you an idea, just an orientation of what's what, where, and where different cities are located. Now, you've got different things are important to you in a lifestyle. And it's important to have somebody that knows this area to direct you to the right places to find the lifestyle that you want. So I hope this is helpful. If you have any questions, feel free to message me and watch the next video here.